I stood outside my own house, suitcase in hand, staring at the lights glowing through the windows. "That's strange," I muttered. I had told Emma my return flight was delayed by 2 days. I wanted to surprise her. I imagined her opening the door, gasping, then throwing her arms around me. I smiled to myself. "She's going to cry," I whispered. But the music inside didn't sound like a quiet night. It sounded like a party. I frowned. Did I forget something? I walked up to the door and pushed it open slowly. The moment I stepped inside, noise hit me. Laughter, glasses clinking, music playing. People I didn't recognize filled the living room. I froze. What is going on? No one noticed me at first. I stepped further in, my eyes scanning the room. Then I saw her. Emma. She stood near the center, wearing a dress I had never seen before. She was laughing, really laughing, the way she used to laugh with me. But she wasn't alone. A tall man stood beside her, one hand resting casually on her lower back. My grip tightened on the suitcase. "Who is that?" I whispered. I forced myself to walk forward. One step, then another. My heart started pounding. "Emma," I called softly. She didn't hear me. I got closer. "Emma, I'm home." She turned. For a second, everything stopped. Her smile disappeared. Her eyes widened. "Ryan," I let out a small laugh. "Yeah, surprise." I waited. I waited for her to run to me. I waited for her to hug me. But she didn't move. Instead, she glanced at the man beside her, then at the people around us. Her expression changed. Not happiness. Not love. Something else. Something cold. "Emma," I said again, quieter this time. The man next to her stepped forward and looked at me. "Hey," he said, offering his hand. "You must be—" Emma cut him off quickly. She hesitated. I felt my chest tighten. She looked at the crowd, then back at me. And then she said it. "This is Ryan. A friend." I blinked. "A friend?" I repeated. No one reacted. A few people nodded politely. Someone said, "Oh, nice to meet you." The man smiled and extended his hand again. "Daniel." I stared at his hand for a second before shaking it. "Ryan," I said, my voice flat. He nodded. "Good to meet you." I slowly pulled my hand back. My ears were ringing. "Friend." She called me a friend. I looked at Emma. She avoided my eyes. "Emma," I said, forcing a smile, "can we talk?" She hesitated. I'm a bit busy right now." "Busy?" I repeated. Daniel chuckled lightly. "Big night? You came at an interesting time." I looked at him. "Yeah, I can see that." Emma crossed her arms slightly. "Ryan, we'll talk later, okay?" "Later?" I said. "I just got back." She sighed. "I know, but this isn't a good moment." I laughed softly. "Not a good moment for your husband?" Her face stiffened. "Ryan." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "Husband." The room went quiet. Emma quickly stepped in. "It's complicated." "Complicated?" I echoed. I felt something crack inside me. I looked around. Strangers. All of them. In my house. Drinking. Laughing. Watching me like I was the outsider. I swallowed hard. "Yeah, I can see how it's complicated." Daniel glanced at Emma. "You didn't tell me this." She forced a smile. "I was going to— when—" I asked. She didn't answer. I let out a slow breath. "Okay, fine. I get it." I picked up my suitcase again. "Enjoy your party," I said. I turned and walked toward the hallway. No one stopped me. No one said anything. I reached the bedroom door and pushed it open. Then I froze again. My clothes were gone. Not all of them, but most. The closet looked different, organized differently, like someone else had been using it. I whispered, "What the hell?" I heard footsteps behind me. "Ryan." I turned. Emma stood in the doorway. "Explain," I said. She closed the door behind her. "Lower your voice." "My voice," I said. "You just introduced me as a friend in my own house." She rubbed her temples. "You weren't supposed to come back today." I stared at her. "That's your concern right now?" She looked frustrated. "I needed time to handle things." "Handle what?" I asked. She hesitated. "Us." "There is no us," I said. She didn't respond. I felt my throat tighten. "How long?" She looked away. "How long, Emma?" I repeated. "A few months," she said quietly. "A few months," I repeated. I laughed, but it sounded empty. "I've been gone working for us and you." "Don't do that," she snapped. "Don't make it sound like I'm the villain." I stared at her. What should I call this then? She crossed her arms. Things changed, Ryan. While I was gone, it wasn't just that, she said. We were already drifting. Drifting, I said. We talked every day. Talking isn't the same as being here, she replied. I shook my head. So you replaced me? I didn't replace you, she said quickly. I just found something different. Something better? I asked. She stayed silent. That was my answer. I looked at her for a long moment. You couldn't even tell people who I am, I said softly. She sighed. I didn't want a scene. A scene? I repeated. You erased me. That's not fair. Not fair. I laughed again. You erased me from my own life. She looked irritated. You're overreacting. Overreacting? I said. My voice dropped. Emma, I just walked into my house and found out I don't exist anymore. She didn't respond. I took a step closer. Do you love him? She hesitated. That pause told me everything. I see, I whispered. She looked down. It's not that simple. It is for me, I said. We stood there in silence for a few seconds. Then I asked, does everyone out there think he lives here? She didn't answer directly. They know what they need to know. I nodded slowly. Right. I picked up my suitcase again. Where are you going? She asked. I looked at her. I don't know, I said. Somewhere I still exist. She frowned. Don't be dramatic. I smiled faintly. You already made it dramatic. I walked past her. Ryan, she called. I stopped but didn't turn. What? I asked. We'll figure this out, she said. I let out a quiet breath. No, I said. You already did. I walked out of the room. Back into the noise. Back into the strangers. Daniel looked at me as I passed. Everything okay? He asked. I looked at him. For a moment, I wanted to say something. Anything. But instead, I just smiled. Yeah, I said. Everything's clear now. He nodded, confused. I walked to the door. My hand paused on the handle. I glanced back one last time. Emma stood in the hallway, watching me. Not running to me. Not stopping me. Just watching. Like I was already gone. I opened the door and stepped outside. The cold air hit my face. I stood there for a moment, breathing slowly. Then I whispered to myself. I was her husband, and tonight, I became a stranger. And for the first time in my life, I realized I had been erased. I sat in my car with the engine off, staring at nothing. Just a friend, I whispered. The words wouldn't leave my head. I leaned back and closed my eyes. Say it again, I muttered to myself. Go ahead, say it again. But it didn't hurt less. It hurt more. My phone buzzed. I ignored it. Maybe I misunderstood, I said quietly. Maybe she panicked. I laughed under my breath. Yeah, panicked and erased her husband. I rubbed my face. Get a grip, Ryan. But I couldn't. Every second of that night replayed in my head. Her face. Her hesitation. Her voice. Friend. I slammed my hand against the steering wheel. Damn it. Silence followed. I took a deep breath. Okay. Think. I straightened up. Don't react. Understand. That was the first time I chose not to go back inside. Instead, I drove. I didn't know where I was going until I stopped in front of a familiar house. Lily's place. I stepped out and knocked. A few seconds later, the door opened. Ryan, she said, surprised. You're back. Yeah, I replied. She frowned. Why do you look like that? Like what? Like you haven't slept in days. I forced a small smile. Can I come in? She stepped aside. Of course. I walked in slowly. She closed the door behind me. What happened? I sat down on the couch. Tell me something first. She crossed her arms. That doesn't sound good. Just answer me, I said. She sighed. Fine. What is it? I looked at her. Emma, has she been acting different? She froze. That was enough. Say it, I said quietly. She looked away. Ryan, how long? I asked. She hesitated. A while. How long is a while? Months, she said. I nodded slowly. Months. She stepped closer. I wanted to tell you. Why didn't you? I asked. She looked guilty. You sounded happy when you called. I didn't want to ruin that. I laughed softly. So you let it get worse instead. She sat across from me. I didn't think it would go this far. Neither did I said. She looked at me carefully. What exactly happened last night? I met her eyes. She introduced me as a friend. Lily's expression hardened. She actually said that? In front of everyone, I replied. She shook her head. That's messed up. I leaned forward. Who is he? She hesitated again. Lily, I said, my voice firm. She sighed. His name is Daniel. I know that, I said. Who is he? He's rich, she said. Owns multiple companies. Big name. I frowned. And he's been around Emma a lot, she added. How often? Almost every day, she said quietly. I felt my jaw tighten. Every day. She nodded. I looked down my hands. While I was working, she didn't say anything. I asked, did she ever mention him to you? A few times, Lily said. At first, she said he was just helping her with business stuff. And later, I asked. She stopped explaining, Lily replied. I laughed again, but there was no humor in it. Of course she did. Lily leaned forward. Ryan, I'm sorry. Don't be, I said. You didn't do this. She studied my face. What are you going to do? I didn't answer right away. Instead, I asked, do you think she loves him? Lily hesitated. I think she likes what he gives her. That's not what I asked. She looked at me. I don't know if it's love. I nodded slowly. Yeah. Silence filled the room. Then I stood up. I need to see something. Where are you going? She asked. Home, I said. She frowned. After everything? I'm not going back to her, I replied. I just need answers. She stood up too. Be careful. I gave a small nod. I will. I left before she could say anything else. The drive back felt shorter. Maybe because I wasn't hoping anymore. I parked a few houses away. The lights were still on. I walked quietly toward the house. As I got closer, I heard voices. I stopped. Emma's voice. I had to say he's just a friend. I froze. Daniel's voice followed. Why? Because you don't like complications, she said. My chest tightened. There was a pause. Then she added, Ryan will understand eventually. Understand? I felt something snap inside me. Daniel chuckled. You think so? He always does, she said. He's predictable. Predictable. I clenched my fists. Daniel spoke again. You need to handle this soon. I will, Emma replied. Just give me time. You've had time, he said. I know, she said softly. I just need to do it right. Make sure you do, he said. I don't want this affecting anything. It won't, she assured him. I stepped back slowly. My heart was racing, but my mind felt clear. Too clear. I whispered to myself, so that's the truth. I turned and walked away. No anger. No shouting. Just silence. When I got back to my car, I sat down and stared ahead. She thinks I'll understand, I said quietly. I let out a slow breath. She's right. I did understand. I understood everything now. I took out my phone and scrolled through my contacts. Then I stopped at one name. Victor. I pressed call. He picked up after 2 rings. Ryan? You're back. Yeah, I said. He sounded surprised. I wasn't expecting. I need to see you. I interrupted. He paused. Is everything okay? No, I said. But it will be. He hesitated. All right. Come to my office. I'm on my way, I said. I hung up and started the car. The drive felt different this time. Calmer. Colder. When I arrived, Victor was already waiting. He opened the door as I walked in. You look terrible. Thanks, I said. He frowned. I'm serious. What happened? I walked past him and sat down. I need information. He closed the door. About what? My marriage, I said. He raised an eyebrow. That bad? Yes. He sat across from me. Talk. I looked at him. If I walk away, can I take everything back? He leaned back in his chair. That depends. On what? I asked. On how far you're willing to go, he said. I held his gaze. Far enough. He studied me for a moment. You're not angry. I said. Now I'm done being angry. What does that mean? He asked. It means I'm thinking, I replied. He nodded slowly. That's more dangerous. Good, I said. He leaned forward. Do you have proof? Not yet, I said. But I will. He crossed his arms. And when you do, I want everything, I said. He raised an eyebrow. Everything. Everything she thinks she has, I replied. He was silent for a second. Then he said, if you're ready to fight, yes. I nodded. That was all I needed to hear. Victor added, but once you start, there's no going back. I stood up. I already lost everything. There's nothing to go back to. He looked at me carefully. Then we do this right. I turned toward the door. Ryan, he called. I stopped. Make sure this is what you want, he said. I didn't turn around. It is, I replied. I walked out of his office and into the night. The pain was still there, but it wasn't controlling me anymore. I whispered to myself, no more reacting. For the first time since that night, I wasn't the victim anymore. I didn't go back to Emma that morning. Not yet. Instead, I sat at my kitchen table, coffee untouched, staring at the papers in front of me. I whispered to myself, time to rebuild quietly. The next day at work, Mr. Harris called me into his office. You've got fire in your eyes again, he said, leaning back in his chair. I smirked faintly. I had to find it somewhere. Where? He asked. I shrugged. Wherever it left me. He studied me for a moment. Whatever's happening, don't lose it. You've got potential, Ryan. I nodded, but my mind was elsewhere. Potential wasn't enough. I wanted control. Over projects. Over money. Over my life. At my desk, I started reviewing the files I had ignored before. Deals Emma dismissed as routine caught my attention now. I noticed the patterns, the weaknesses, the opportunities. Look at this, I muttered under my breath, scanning spreadsheets. How did I never see this before? Sophia walked by. Working late again? She asked, leaning on my desk. I glanced up. You could say that. She raised an eyebrow. You look different. Serious. Focused. I'm serious, I replied. Focus is the first step. She smirked. Sounds ominous. Maybe, I said quietly. Over the next few days, I threw myself into every project. I volunteered for risky deals, negotiated with clients directly, and pushed boundaries I had avoided before. Mr. Harris noticed again. You've changed. You're sharper. Had to learn fast, I said. Life tends to teach you lessons whether you're ready or not. He chuckled. True enough. Just don't burn out. I won't, I said. Not this time. Meanwhile, I kept a careful eye on Emma's world. I didn't go to her house. I didn't call. I watched. Daniel, I noticed, wasn't perfect. He was controlling, overconfident, sometimes careless. I overheard conversations at work, clients whispering about Daniel's mistakes. Deals that seemed secure were failing quietly. Sophia approached me one afternoon. Ryan, can we talk? She asked. I nodded. Sure. What's up? She looked around the office floor, then whispered, I've noticed something. Daniel's been manipulating numbers in a deal involving Emma's company. He's covering his tracks, but it's sloppy. I raised an eyebrow. Sloppy enough for me to notice? She nodded. Yes, but it's dangerous if you act too fast. I smiled faintly. Noted. Are you going to expose them? She asked. I shook my head. Not yet. Her eyes narrowed. Then what? I'm learning first, I said. Watching. Planning. Timing matters more than speed. She studied me silently, then said, I didn't expect you to be so calm. Calm is strategic, I said. Emotion doesn't win battles. Control does. She nodded slowly. All right, I'll help. But carefully. Carefully is the only way, I replied. That night, I sat alone at my apartment, reviewing documents Sophia had gathered. I whispered, I see the cracks now, and so will they eventually. Pain was still there, the memory of her calling me a friend, the sound of her laughter with him. But it had changed. It hardened into something else. Purpose. I won't let her forget me, I muttered. Or him. Over the next few weeks, I became a different man at work. Risk-taking came naturally. I closed deals others feared. I negotiated fiercely. I wasn't just Ryan, the quiet one. I was Ryan, the unstoppable. Mr. Harris called me in again. You're running circles around your team. I didn't recognize this, Ryan. I'm learning fast, I said. Motivation helps. He smirked. I hope it's sustainable. But whatever's driving you, keep it. I will, I replied. Believe me. Every evening, I checked Emma from a distance. News updates, company announcements, social media. Daniel's arrogance was growing. Small mistakes, missed deadlines, overpromises. I whispered to myself, keep going. I'm ready for when it all falls apart. Sophia came by one evening. I pull more files, she said, handing me a folder. Daniel's mismanaged finances, but it's hidden behind layers. I think I can trace it back. I took the folder, scanning it quickly. Good work. Keep it hidden. We can't afford leaks. I know, she said, but you gotta do something with this, right? Eventually, I said. Timing is everything. She hesitated. Ryan, don't let anger control you. You're not chasing her anymore, right? I smiled faintly. No, not chasing. Not anymore. I'm preparing. That's different. She nodded. Just be careful with yourself. I will, I said. I always am. The nights became my planning hours. Alone, I mapped out strategies, projected outcomes, and anticipated their next moves. My emotions were still raw, but they no longer dictated me. They sharpened me. One night, I whispered to the empty room, "The man who left me nothing, he's blind. And she won't know what hit her." I leaned back in my chair, thinking of Emma laughing at Daniel's jokes, her eyes lighting up, her hand brushing his. I felt no desire to reclaim love, only focus. "She'll see me again," I said quietly, but not the same man she erased. Days passed. Daniel's mistakes grew more obvious. Investors murmured. Emma seemed anxious in public. Subtle hints of stress I noticed while analyzing company reports. I whispered soon. Sophia came at my office. "Ryan, I know you're planning something big." I nodded. "I am, but it's not the time yet." "Then why the patience?" she asked. "Because," I said slowly, "revenge without precision is meaningless. Timing turns humiliation into inevitability." She smiled faintly. "I get it. Strategic." "Yes," I said. "Everything must align. The fall must be undeniable." She hesitated, then asked softly, "And what about Emma?" I looked at her. "She's irrelevant. Not for long. Soon, she'll understand the consequences of erasing me." Sophia nodded, understanding. "I'll keep helping quietly." I smiled. "Good. That's all I need." Later that night, I looked in the mirror. My reflection stared back. Tired eyes, tense jaw, but fire burning in them. I whispered, "This is me now. No distractions. No emotions clouding judgment. Just purpose." The pain still lingered. The betrayal still stung. But it was no longer weakness. It was my weapon. "I'm not chasing her love anymore," I muttered. "I'm preparing for her downfall." And with that thought, I knew nothing would stop me. I wasn't a victim. I wasn't broken. I was Ryan. Silent, patient, unstoppable. And the night ended with me smiling quietly to myself. Not for her. Not for Daniel. For me. Finally, for me. I arrived at the corporate event early. Everything looked perfect. Lights, music, laughter, but I saw it all differently. "Daniel," I muttered under my breath, scanning the room. Sophia had sent me the final data. Victor's legal team had prepared every clause, every hidden contract, every financial misstep ready. I smiled faintly. Tonight it ends. Emma appeared beside Daniel, smiling confidently. The same smile she had worn the night she called me, just a friend. I stepped forward quietly, watching them. "Funny how things change," I said, loud enough for only them to hear. Daniel turned sharply. "Ryan." Emma froze. Her eyes widened. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her voice tight. I let my gaze sweep the room. Investors, clients, media, everyone was here. Everyone would see. "I'm here to show you something," I said calmly. Daniel laughed nervously. "You what? Are you serious?" "Yes," I said. "I am very serious." Emma's hand trembled slightly as she reached for my arm. "Ryan, please don't do this." I looked at her. For a moment, the old warmth flickered, but it died quickly. "You already did this, the moment I became just a friend," I said. Her lips parted, but no words came. Daniel stepped forward. "Wait, what are you talking about?" I held up the folder. "Everything." He glanced at it, confused. "Everything?" "Ryan, you can't." "Can't what?" I asked. "See the contracts you signed? The hidden clauses that give investors the right to withdraw immediately if any mismanagement is found." He blinked. What clauses?" I smiled faintly. "These ones, Daniel." I handed the folder to a nearby attorney, who nodded and placed copies on the conference table. Daniel's face paled. "Al, where did you?" Victor stepped forward, quietly confident. "We prepared this carefully, Daniel. Every loophole, every weakness, it's all valid and enforceable." Daniel swallowed hard. This can't be real." "It is," I said, "and it's about to be very real for you." Emma gripped my arm tighter. "Ryan, don't do this, please." I looked at her calmly. "I already lost my place with you the night you erased me." Her eyes filled with panic. "I didn't mean." "Didn't mean?" I repeated. "You introduced me as a friend. In my own house. In front of everyone. Daniel's hands shook slightly. You don't understand. Oh, I understand perfectly, I said. I understand manipulation, control, arrogance, and ignorance. Investors in the room were murmuring. I had made sure the press would witness some of the reactions. The panic was subtle at first, then grew. Ryan, Emma whispered. Please. I ignored her. I turned to Daniel. Every deal you made this year? Monitored. Every transaction you thought was secure? Exposed. He stammered. This is impossible. Victor stepped beside me. It isn't impossible. It's strategy. Legal, enforceable, and untouchable. Every investor who sees this is now protected to withdraw. Every partner will reconsider. Your empire is collapsing. I watched Daniel's face turn red, then pale, then angry. His arrogance shattered. Ryan, what do you want? He spat. I looked at him, quietly controlled. I don't want anything from you. I want you to see reality. Emma's grip on my arm loosened slightly. Ryan, we can fix this, she pleaded. Fix this? I asked. Do you even hear yourself? Her eyes welled with tears. Please. Daniel, stop this. He's being unreasonable. I laughed softly, coldly. Unreasonable? I've been erased for months. I've been patient, silent, and now I am visible. That's not unreasonable. That's inevitable. Daniel glared at me. You'll regret this. Regret. I said, I've already lived regret. You'll live it now. Investors were whispering, flipping through the contracts. Phones rang, messages buzzed. Panic spread faster than Daniel could comprehend. Emma's face paled. Ryan, please don't humiliate him. I shook my head. He humiliated me. You humiliated me. This isn't revenge for entertainment. This is the consequence of erasure. Daniel's hands clenched into fists. This is unfair. Fairness left the room the night I became a friend, I said. Victor stepped forward. The contracts are valid. The financial withdrawal clauses are enforceable immediately. Daniel, you're no longer in control. Daniel's voice cracked. No, this can't happen. I let him struggle. I let him panic. I watched as the empire he built with arrogance and fear began to crumble within minutes. Emma grabbed my arm again, desperation in her voice. Ryan, please. I made a mistake. I love you. I pulled my arm away gently. Love, I said. Love doesn't erase someone. Love doesn't call them a friend in front of strangers. She choked on her words. I didn't think. You didn't think, I said calmly. Exactly. Daniel's face was red with fury now. You're destroying everything. I'm restoring reality, I said. You built it on arrogance, Daniel. It was fragile, and fragile things fall. Emma stared at me, wide-eyed. Ryan, why? I smiled faintly, not with warmth, but clarity. Because you erased me, and I stopped being invisible. The murmurs in the room grew louder. Phones snapped photos. Cameras flashed. Investors whispered. Panic became chaos. Daniel tried to speak again, but his words faltered. Legal advisors surrounded him. Contracts were reviewed. Withdrawals were confirmed. Emma's face twisted in disbelief. Ryan, stop. I shook my head. No, the stop was your choice, Emma. You chose him over me. You chose lies over truth. You chose arrogance over honesty. This is the consequence. Daniel's hands shook violently. You can't take it all. I already have, I said calmly. Victor whispered to me, it's unfolding perfectly. I glanced at him, nodding. Yes, perfectly. Emma's tears fell freely now. Ryan, I looked at her, the woman I once loved, and felt nothing but clarity. You already did this. The moment I became just a friend, I said quietly. Her lips parted, no words coming. Daniel's empire was crumbling around him. Investors walked away. Panic spread like wildfire. I watched, silent, unmoved. Tonight, I wasn't a victim. Tonight, I wasn't erased. Tonight, I was visible. I stepped back, letting chaos take its course. Emma's gaze stayed on me, desperate, pleading, terrified. But I only smiled faintly, coldly. Remember this, I whispered. This is what happens when you erase someone who refuses to be invisible. And for the first time in months, I felt nothing but control. The collapse changed everything. Daniel vanished from spotlight. His empire crumbled. Investors left, partners pulled back, and his arrogance became a cautionary tale. Emma's world followed suit. The status she flaunted, the friends she counted on, they disappeared with him. The illusion she lived in shattered, leaving her exposed and raw. I heard whispers at work. "Did you see Emma yesterday?" Someone asked. "She looks lost," another said. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. I watched quietly. Days later, there was a knock on my door. I opened it to see her. Emma. No crowd. No eyes judging. No lies. Just her. "Ryan," she said softly. I studied her. The woman I once loved stood there, fragile, trembling. Tears glistened in her eyes. "I made a mistake," she whispered. I nodded slowly. "You did." Her lips quivered. I thought you'd always stay. No matter what." I felt a flicker of the old pain, but it wasn't sharp anymore. "Stay?" I asked quietly. "Emma." I did stay. I waited. I was here. Her eyes widened. I didn't know." "You didn't know because you didn't see," I said calmly. "You erased me. Call me a friend. Treated me like I didn't exist. That's when you left." She swallowed hard. I was scared. "Daniel, I don't want to hear excuses," I said. "Not now." Her hand shook. "Ryan, please." I shook my head. "No, this chapter is over." Her gaze softened, pleading. "I can fix it. Fix us. Please. I love you." I felt the old warmth flicker briefly, then fade. "Love?" I asked, my voice steady. "Love doesn't erase someone. Love doesn't humiliate them. Love doesn't disappear when it's inconvenient." She looked down. I thought I could handle it all. I didn't realize. "You didn't realize you weren't the center of my life anymore," I said. Her lips parted, no words forming. I took a deep breath. "I didn't come here to argue. I didn't come here to forgive. I came here to make sure you understand the consequences of your choices." Tears streamed down her cheeks. "Ryan, I made a mistake. I know that now." "Yes," I said softly, "and mistakes have consequences." She reached for my hand. I stepped back. "Please," she whispered. "Just talk to me. Please, Ryan." "I've talked," I said. "For months I waited. I was silent, I watched, I endured. That was my time. Now it's over." Her eyes filled with fear. "Over?" "Yes. Over," I said firmly. "The man you called just a friend, he's gone. Not gone in life, but gone for you. The man who waited, the man who loved, the man who stayed. He's the man you lost forever." She gasped. "Rhino." I shook my head. "No, don't say it. Don't try to rewrite history. Don't plead. Don't cry. You made your choices." Her shoulders slumped. I understand, but I can't accept it." "You don't have to," I said. "I won't let you. Acceptance isn't for you. It's for me." I regained myself. "I'm not the man you humiliated. I'm better, stronger, clearer, free." Her lips trembled. "Free?" "Yes," I said. "Free from lies, free from manipulation, free from the illusion you built. I survived your betrayal. I thrived because of it." She stared, silent, tears spilling onto her hands. "I won't chase you," I said softly. "I won't beg. I won't hope for what was lost. I don't need your love anymore." She whispered, "Ryan." "I'm not bitter," I said. "I'm just me. Finally me." Her hands dropped. I wish things could have been different." I nodded slowly. "We both do. But they can't be. You chose your path. I chose mine." She stepped back, defeated. "Ryan, please remember me." "I do," I said quietly. "But remembering doesn't mean returning. I remember the love, the laughter, the pain, but it doesn't matter anymore. That man, the man you erased, he's gone for you. And the man you see now, he's the man you'll never have again." Her lips parted. "Ryan, I don't," I said gently. "There's nothing left to say." She nodded, finally silent. Her head bowed. Tears rolled down, quiet sobs escaping. I watched her for a moment, feeling nothing but clarity. "Goodbye, Emma," I said softly. She didn't respond. She just turned and walked away. I closed the door behind her. Silence filled the apartment. No tears, no begging, no chaos, just quiet. I leaned against the door, closing my eyes. I felt the weight lift. The anger, the hurt, the betrayal, it had all transformed. Into strength, into clarity, into me. I walked to the window and looked out. The city lights glimmered like tiny reminders that life goes on. That choices have consequences. That people fade, but truth remains. I whispered to myself, the man she called just a friend was the man she could never have again. I smiled faintly, not with warmth but understanding. I didn't feel victorious because she lost. I felt victorious because I found myself. The man she laughed at, the man she erased, the man she replaced. He was gone. The man I had become, strong, patient, focused, untouchable, remained. I turned away from the window. There was work to do, life to live, and a future to build. Emma's shadow faded behind me. Daniel's empire had crumbled, and the world moved on. I moved forward, step by step, breath by breath. Finally free, finally whole, finally the man she lost forever. And I walked into the night, smiling faintly, quietly, powerfully. No regrets, no looking back, only forward.